everybody, and welcome to the Digital to Dice podcast. I am Dave.
I'm Ron.
And it's episode 77, the Raymond Bark episode.
That's right. It's going to take 20 years to win the cup, and you got to be traded to do it.
That's right. I remember when he wore number 7. In fact, I went to the Montreal Forum, and I saw him wearing number 7. I got pictures of that game from an old Kodak camera from the last row, and he's wearing number 7.
I was in college when... I don't know if we had a free Nesson preview weekend, because if you remember, Nesson was a pay channel.
Yes.
In parts of New England. And so the lords at the cable system in Lyndonville, Vermont would not let us get anything you had to pay for. So no HBO, you had to, unscramble the movies yourself.
Yeah.
And Nesson, for whatever reason, so we couldn't watch the Red Sox or the Bruins. But seeing the clip, he wore 7 at one point. Okay. That's nice. And the clip and the genuine reaction on Phil Esposito's face when Bork takes off the 7 to reveal the 70.
I've watched that 100 times. No joke. 100.
Yeah,
and I saw it live, too. Saw it live. And every time I come on YouTube, I got to watch it. It is great. It really is. So
speaking of Esposito, we're talking a couple nights ago or Monday night in my hockey stream, which I did not cancel this week. So it's a baseball stream that's getting postponed tonight, by the way, just in case you're wondering.
Okay, I'm keeping score.
Good. The GM that signed Lemieux to the long-term multi-million-dollar a year.
Okay.
Tony Esposito. I didn't remember he was the GM of the Pens.
Oh, no, I don't remember that. No.
Yeah. It's a nice thing about the archives of the Montreal Gazette is that you just kind of like, oh. So there you go.
That's why you are here. You bring that wealth of information to the show.
Useless Knowledge 101.
All right. Today's topic, we're going to talk about making the game your own. What are some of the things that you do? What are some of the things that we do to make a game either play a little bit easier or more fun for us, or whatever it is that you do to make a game more fun? I know we've talked a little bit about modding in the past and the whole bit, but we're just going to talk a little today about...
this is not modding to put in rinks and images and pictures, but modding more so cards and dice games or chart and dice games to make it feel more of your own, as opposed to modding the computer.
Yeah, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But before we get to that topic and what we're playing and all that stuff, little bit of house cleaning I want to get to here on the show for myself and Ron. First thing, more from me than Ron, is as some people have sent me some game demos and things they're working on and new projects and the whole bit. And they wanted me to take a look at it, my feedback, my opinion, play around with it and the whole bit. I do want to say that I have received them all, and I have looked at them all, or at least printed them out, but I haven't had a chance to really dig into these things yet. And also, if you notice, I haven't streamed in 3 or 4 weeks now. So the reason why I haven't streamed and I haven't really jumped into these game demos that people have sent over is, well, first off, is that I went down for the count with that heavy snow. I did the heavy snow, and I tried, we talked about that in the show here, and I just went down. I was just flat out exhausted from that. And so I would just do what I ever had to do for work and go to bed. And that's what I did for about 4 or 5 days. I was just down for the count. Well, during that time, don't you figure, so the wife's now out doing all the shopping and stuff, and she gets COVID. She calls me from work one day and says, I can't smell anything. And so she went down and got tested, and she tested positive. And it's like, wow, that was just out of the blue, So luckily, with me being down and out, that worked to our advantage because we had actually been quarantining.
Yeah, you're lucky enough that you can do that.
Yeah, so just because I was going to bed, we didn't do dinner, we didn't watch TV, we didn't do anything for a good part of a week. So, what happens when you get this is they call you up, the COVID people call you up, and they ask you all these questions, and they're really nice. They're really nice about it. And they were like, well, when's the last time, you were close within for 6 feet for 10 or 15 minutes? And it's like, it might be a week or two. I says, I've been kind of really not feeling well, so I've been just in bed, and just watching TV alone, and they're like, well, that's actually good. because you've been quarantining without even realizing you were quarantining.
Right.
And so so the long and short of it is she's fine. She's got all her smells back and the whole bit. She missed a week of work. I think that's kind of what the deal is now. You got to stay out of work a week, and they give you a timeline. Okay, when was your first symptom? So a few days before that, and then subtract the 3, borrow the 4, and okay, you can go back to work on Tuesday. Unless you're still running a fever and really sick. Well, she never ran a fever. She never got sick, and she just sat in bed. That was depressing enough, because she just stayed in her room.
Yeah.
And she's like, I could go to work. She goes, I feel fine. I just can't smell anything, So I made her all the dinners and stuff, and, I tried to help out the best I could. But we stayed away from each other, so I tested negative. I never had it in the whole bit. And same thing happened to my aunt and uncle. My aunt got it. My uncle didn't. And I was like, how does that happen? And he's like, I don't know. One of my neighbors, the same thing. He's like, I got it.
Couples.
He's like, well, this is a young guy. This guy's in his 30s, early 40s maybe. And he got it. And it's like, my wife and kids didn't get it, and they're all over me. Kids playing with me and the whole bit. And he's like, everyone else is negative. Go figure, So that's why I haven't really done any streaming or taken a look at the game demos. It's just, it just was weird. And it wasn't a, I didn't really have the mental capacity to take on a new, and try to learn something new during this whole thing. Even though she's fine and I'm fine and the whole bit, it just was the idea that it's like, okay, I got to stay over here, she's got to stay over there, and it just wasn't a happy time, if you know what I mean. And she was, by the end of it, she was really depressed. She was like, I need to do something, and I'm like, I'll leave if you want to walk around the house, that's fine. But she was a trooper about it, but she was really down and out. And so that brought me down. So that's why I haven't streamed. That's why I haven't taken a look at your demos. But now that she's been back to work a week now, she's doing fine. I'm still doing whatever. So hopefully now I can get back to streaming, and I can get back to taking a look at some of the demos that some people have sent, So
thanks for the cold there, Gardner, by the way.
Oh, did you get the cold?
It's just enough to be annoying. If I had a real office job, I'd be going to work. If if I played a bunch of games, but just to be able to talk by yourself for an hour and try to entertain people, no.
Well, that was the thing that I had too. It's like when I'm kind of down, it's like my voice gets tired. It's like, I could probably stream. Boy, I could get a half hour in and my voice could be talking like this, So
I had a hockey game Monday night. My voice was shredded.
Yeah,
I did my noontime stream yesterday and was done.
Yeah, it's a lot of talking. Yep.
So it's like, I can do one per day, which isn't. And so I chose this.
Yep. So
again, not feeling bad, but not feeling good.
Yep, that's how I was the first week. So just kind of tired, just like, oh man, just achy from the shoveling and down and out there. And then the rest of it was just kind of being a little depressed along with her for a week. But so hopefully I'll be back from that. She's, like I said, she's good. I'm good, the whole bit. So if anybody's worried, we're okay. But it just was a downtime. So if anybody's asking, if you listen to the show and you've sent me something in, that's why I haven't had a chance to look at it. The other thing is, both Ron and myself, we get a lot of requests from listeners and friends and of the show and whatever about some of the things like we do in our game, the modding of our games. It's like, where did you get this? Where did you get the pictures? Where did you get the courts, the fields, or whatever? And how did you do this in the game? And we're willing to help, and we're not hiding anything from anybody, but we got to be completely honest that we play so many games. And some games we play for just a brief time, and that's it. And we'll do a video and maybe never get back to it or something like that. So we've had some people asking us, like, where did you find this? Quite honestly, sometimes we just don't remember. And we're not trying to not help you. We're not trying to blow you off. We're not trying to, whatever. It's just, quite honestly, I've had a couple of people ask me about, hey, where'd you get that? I don't remember. I just flat out don't remember how I set that up when I did it.
Things get transferred from hard drive to hard drive as machines get changed, and some things I know where they come from, and other things
It's sometimes I'll
with for 7-8 years, and I don't know where I got it from.
There's times that I'll bookmark a page because it's like, oh, here's a good source of Strat PC basketball courts or something like that, and other times I don't because I think I'll just remember it, and then it's like, where's that page for the basketball courts? And they're not in my bookmarks, and I'm Googling and I'm looking around, and it's I don't know. And even myself, I can't find it. And so, like I say, sometimes it's 6 months or a year ago since we've done anything, and we probably did it just the one time, and we just don't know. So, feel free to ask if it's something we can help you with. We will, but just keep in mind that we're not like experts at all this stuff. We're just kind of dudes that play these games.
Right.
And, sometimes it takes hours and hours of searching through Delphi and the internet and Facebook and emailing people and just trying to get steered in the right direction on how to do something. And sometimes, you got to contact support, and support might help you for that particular game. But sometimes it's quite the process, and you just honestly don't remember like where you even started in that process, because I know Ron likes to use a lot of player pictures in his games. I tend not to. So, I mean, we each have our preferences on that, and so I never used a picture, so I can't help you with that. Ron does, but he might have not remembered where he got it from. Maybe somebody emailed it to him. He doesn't, we don't know. So,
yeah. Sometimes
so again, we don't mind helping you guys because that's what we're all here for. But keep in mind that we're not the end all say all for this stuff. We're not the experts on modding, especially the PC games, which are really weird. Sometimes I don't even know what folder I put things in. And I was looking for something the other day. It's like, man, I can't find it, and I don't know where I downloaded it from. And it's on my hard drive somewhere. I don't know where, I don't know what I called it, and I can't find it on the internet to download it again. And sometimes that's how it goes. It's just you do things once, and you move on to the next game. We have multiple game disorder like everybody else, and then all of a sudden you go back to that game and it's like, oh, where is it? How did I do that? I don't remember how I did that. So, anything you want to add to that, Ron?
No, that's all good. If it's a computer game, the first place you guys should be checking is the forums, because they're the ones that deal with it, whether people have modded that or there. If you're also not sure, I've done some modding videos, how to do this and how to do that, and so be checking those out first. I mean, again, always glad to say, I haven't done that, I don't know where I got that from, or sit there for a few minutes and try to help out, but. As Dave said, we're not always experts on things, even the games that we show off more frequently than others. So when in doubt, don't hesitate to ask. But if I don't really know the answer, the other answer is go to the game support forum or the unofficial message board and poke around there. They all have search functions, and you don't need to even be, I believe, a member of that to do that. And someone will have figured it out at some point.
Yeah, I would say the Delphi groups, Delphi forum, that's the best place to go if you're looking for a specific game. Is every game pretty much has its own little folder group on Delphi, and the people in those groups are usually the people who know exactly what to do.
Right, they played one game specifically to death.
Yeah,
Tabletop Sports. That is the catch-all group.
That's the big one.
Delphi.
But if you want a specific game, it's better to go to Delphi, search for a specific game, get into that folder or group, join that, and then ask there, because that's specifically designed for that game. And there's been a few games that I've done the same thing. I've gone in there and said, hey, and instantly 2 or 3 people are like, here's what you do, because that's quote their game. That's their go-to game. Like you're the action PC guy. You know what I mean? You play that every day. You've modded that 100 times. So off the top of your head, you could probably tell somebody about Action PC. But there's other games that you've done once. I've played once or twice, or just I put the mods in so long ago that we just don't remember. So the Delphi forums are probably the best place to go. I mean, again, off the top of our head, we can help you out or direct you in the right direction. That's fine. But yeah, because I feel bad when I can't help somebody. And when I act like a dummy, it's like, I just don't know. But that is just the truth. We each have, a lot of games on our computer, and we just don't always remember where we got stuff or how we installed them. Sometimes every game's different. That's the thing.
Yes. Every game is different.
PC Replay is different than Strat PC, which is different than, the PC Replay stuff. I mean, all the different games that you got there, they all, Franchise Hockey Manager, they all can be modded, but they all do it a different way. That's
the good thing about if you got the game from Steam, so Franchise Hockey Manager, OOTP, a couple of the others that I'm just kind of drawing blanks on, is that if you get something from the Steam Workshop, it automatically installs it for you. You subscribe to the whatever.
Yeah, that does a nice job. Yeah, yep.
And so, but not because our hobby is so niche. Very few of those games are on Steam to be able to do that. But
yeah. So anyway, those are a couple things we wanted to go over and get those out of the way before we got to our main topic. So without further ado, why don't we hit our main topic?
Okay. Well, a little bat wing of this and the hair of a 5-year-old child on that, kind of mixing it up to make the recipe ours. It's kind of like, the bag of Toll House cookies.
Yeah.
You look at the back of it and go, I want mine a little more buttery than that.
Yeah, when you make brownies, it's like you want 1 egg or 2 egg. Do you want a chewy brownie or do you want a cakey brownie? And
right,
exactly. And the reason why that I was talking about this with Ron about talking about modding the way we play the games, not so much modding the games, but just like I say, Eye of Newt, Wing of Bat type of stuff. Is I finally get back to we glanced over what we're playing, but I played some Hockey Blast. I finally got the mat out, the Hockey Blast mat that I did, and set that up and played a game. What did I do? Detroit, Minnesota. I did Detroit, Minnesota.
I believe that's what you were playing.
I forget what year it was. It was in the 70s.
70, 71?
It might have been. It might have been 70, 71, yeah. So I just banged out a quick game just for fun. And, Hockey Blast is one of those games where it's enjoyable, but I call it Plank. You know Planko on The Price is Right? When it's Plinko. You drop the disc and it hits all the nails and it bounces down to the bottom somewhere. That's how Hockey Blast is, because you drop the little disc on the Plinko, and depending on what route it takes, you could have a tremendously fun game or you could have a tremendously aggravating game, depending on where that little Plinko disc goes. And right off the bat, I got a fight, and things like that. And then I got an odd play off a face-off, and it was a guy's chin strap broke or something.
Chin strap wasn't attached. Like, he would have been wearing a helmet that particular year anyway.
And so it just was... So when I play a Hockey Blast, in order to get a good ending Plinko drop, I really got to, on the fly, make changes to that game. And it's not to say it's a bad game by any means, but just my fun in that game is when the game just flows. Shots on goals, a penalty here, a penalty there, things like that. That's what makes the game flow is, checking the ice blast, you know what I mean? And things like that. And, momentum changes. And it's not the fights. I don't like fights in my game. In fact, when I play video games, I turn fights off. Okay, so when it comes to these games and there's fights, even when I play shootout hockey, I just glance right over. I just take the fight right out of it. I mean, if I'm trying to get accurate stats, which I don't usually do, then obviously you got to include the fights. But if I'm just playing for a final score or I'm in the playoffs and I just want to see what fights don't mean anything to me whatsoever. It just doesn't. So so for me, when I play a game like Hockey Blast or even Strat Hockey, anytime a fight comes up, forget it. I just next play, And then the whole chin strap thing's like, I'm just whoever won the face off wins the face off. So that for that particular game, I have to do heavy. I don't know what you call it, modding or heavy homebrewing, I guess would be for to make Hockey Blast fun for me, and it is fun for me when I do these things. I have to make all kinds of changes and concessions to the actual rules of the game to make that fun for me personally. And the same thing with Strat. You know, I mean, I got my own way of changing lines, and even in hockey clubs, my own way of changing lines, and that's just how I do it, and it's fun for me, and I feel like I'm fair to both teams when I do it. You know, and I guess as long as you're not cheating for one team to win, and if you do, you're just cheating yourself because you know it doesn't matter to anybody else in the world really. So there's a handful of games that I play, especially cards and dice, that some I have to make changes, and some I do just for the fun of it. There was a Roberto Schiavini game, the basketball game, I think it was, that if I come up on a 0.5, I would round up for the home team. That was a home team advantage. And so that just made sense to give the home team a little bit of a bump. It might be a point or two a game. And so even with some of the quick play games, I managed to do a little bit of modding and say, boo, I like this, you know. Final score hockey from Downey. In overtime, the home team would get first chance to score. What I did is to make it fun in overtime, so the home team would get first roll. If they indeed rolled in the area of the chart that allowed for a goal, I allowed the visiting team to make the save. And so they would have to roll into their scoring area. Right. And then I would do the same. So then the visiting team would take a scoring chance, and I'd have them roll. And if they scored, I'd give the home team a chance to bump that out. And so I made a couple of mods, even to the quick play games, that really made it fun. It really did. You know, shootout hockey, I made a ton of mods too. Some I kept, some over time I let go. But just to make it exciting, you know, especially at the last minute of the game. I've got all kinds of crazy rules for shootout hockey in the last minute of the game to make it fun, to make that last minute exciting, so it's not just over in a flip of a card. You know, because that's the excitement right there. That's the end of the game. That's when it's the best. So there's been a handful of games that some I have to really, really make a lot of changes to, and others just a couple just to make it fun. But there are some games that you really do gotta make some adjustments just to get through the game and make it fun. And you were saying that you did that too, right?
Oh, the very first game cards and dice game I ever played, Strat Baseball, was you would take what sample of some of the advanced rules and some of the super advanced rules. And so what we played for a game in a draft league wasn't necessarily what you might have played for a draft league. Again, it's, suit to taste the skill level of everyone involved, or what makes sense, or to keep the flow going. I remember when I was introduced to Strat Hockey, I think we cut the 30 fast action cards down to 20 or 25 or something like that, just to keep the game moving, because in the draft league with late 80s, early 90s players, you're going to get enough scoring chances. You're not fighting for a 2-1 game. You're trying to not have an all-star game where it's 11-10 all the time. And so you just get used to playing that way. I kind of liken it to, I was in college. I think I bought Monopoly for the PC when I finally played that you don't get money for landing on free parking. I mean, that's probably the mod of a game that everyone is used to. What do you mean you don't get money? All the money in the middle for landing on free parking. You've got a hotel on Boardwalk. I need that money not to mortgage. So that sort of thing where it just kind of goes on and on from there. But yeah, right from the start. And so you learn to play that way. Again, it's not, you don't want to be cheating just for the sake of cheating, but there are certain things that kind of work better for you so you get more enjoyment. And because a lot of what we talk about is solo play, you want to be able to play the game. And that doesn't mean that the overall rule package is bad, but what I might think is bulky, you might like, and vice versa. Someone might have liked the fact that Thurman Thomas forgot his helmet at the start of a game, and he's not. Oh wait, that actually happened in the Super Bowl on a kickoff. But going back to the whole broken chin strap thing, for you or I, no, What an incredible waste. So you ignored it. But for someone else, oh my God, Wayne Gretzky broke his chin strap and can't be on this. It just kind of adds to the illusion of whatever it is. Again, back to our mantra, there is no wrong way to play. And so roster card, I've pulled out again. Roster card baseball.
Okay.
It's great for stock replays. But I didn't want to do yet another as played replay. That's what I show off on the channel. The great thing about cards and dice, or charts and dice in general, is that you can make your own reality. And if you really want the California Seals to be the best team in the NHL, Cournoyer, Lafleur, and Dryden were all hurt. Again, I don't understand how that happens. How I rolled 500 on a 6-sided dice to injure them permanently, I don't whatever it is. And it's not a knock against the designer of any given game. It's not a knock against. Let's take a look at APA for a second. I know I'm kind of going from place to place here. Everybody has modded APA Basic. Your grandmother, who's never even heard of APA before, but if she sat down to play, she'd probably pull out 3 or 4 mods that no one else has ever heard of, because everyone mods that game. Doesn't mean that you can't play it by the book. It's like playing Uno. What do you mean you don't get all the points when someone else goes out? That's not true. They get the points? No, I'd never play it that way. So every kind of card and dice game has that. And so with roster card, I've tried to simplify it a bit. I find that the offense runs too hot in roster card. I don't need to be boosting the offense in that. If anything, it needs kind of a choke just to get it down. But the game is so close. But again, I've modded it to make the game flow for me. And also, because currently I'm doing the 2017 Washington Nationals, I'm an old school guy. I don't like interleague. I don't want to only have one trip out to the West Coast. I want to play those other teams. And so in my little kingdom, fiefdom universe, I've made the National League 16 teams. I've thrown Milwaukee out. I brought Houston back and have a certain schedule in my head. And I don't worry about if my pitchers get fatigued. They pitch until I don't think they're capable of pitching anymore. Sometimes that's the 3rd inning. Sometimes it's the 9th inning. And it just, again, mods that, it's not, you couldn't do that, let's say, if you were at a tournament or playing on the computer, but you can for that. And for me, it makes it a great deal of fun. And it's realistic. You're not sitting there pinch hit, having the 500 hitter play every game at first base or whatever, but just whatever makes it fun for you, whatever makes it flow. Because, when you're sitting there doing that and rolling the dice and recording the results and trying to make decent decisions for both teams, that's enough of a challenge as it is. Cards and dice, you're not playing the AI. You're playing yourself. And you can be as honest about it or as cheat-worthy as you want. You're only cheating yourself if that's what you want to do. But again, make it fun. I like this rule. I don't like that rule. I think one of the things that we kind of get used to, 2 points here. A, we want to, whenever our game is, try to play it as correctly as possible. And because of PCs, the computer, regardless of whether it's a straight port or something that's been heavily modded to make it computer worthy, wants you to play a game, any game, a certain way. Okay? There's fatigue in every computer baseball game. You just can't shut that off. So even if your guy's going, if you're playing a modern season, look, he's not ready to go more than 6 innings. He may be throwing a 1 or 2 hitter or, is mowing them down. It's like, why in the world would you ever pull that pitcher? But nope, the batting average starts to creep up. Fatigue is set in. That may be more realistic, but is it fun? And cards and dice or charts and dice, no, I'm leaving that guy in. I'm not going to let him lose the game, but I'm not making that move. And so you just kind of get used to playing whatever the era is and fatigue and managing this and managing that. And that's all a great experience. I'm not knocking that. But there are some times you just want to be in control. And so modding a game to your taste, again, just because I like pepperoni on a pizza doesn't mean that you like pepperoni on a pizza. And if you like pineapple on a pizza, not my thing, but as long as you don't make me eat it, I don't really care what you put on.
Well, it's funny when you talked about Monopoly is, how many times as a kid you play those games, it's like you just never had enough money to do anything. So you would collect money landing on Park Place, or, if you rolled doubles, you would get an extra $10. It just seemed like you never had enough money to do anything. So if you made changes to the game, everybody would get more money so you could do things. And I guess that kind of bleeds over into the sports gaming. And the other thing you brought up, too, which was a really good point, is that, the whole basic, advanced, super advanced, some games have those, and, a lot of people mix and match.
Yes, absolutely.
And I do that with Strat Hockey. When I play cards and dice, now I've only tried to do Strat Advanced once, and I failed miserably. I screwed up the power play badly.
Super Advanced?
Super Advanced, yeah. I really, really did mess up the power play. And so when I play that, I'll probably have to go back to just advanced power play. But I incorporate...
Which is funny, not to interrupt, because that was when I was introduced to the game. It was only super advanced power play that I ever played. And, of course, that's the way it is in the PC. You're the one that showed me the chart when you came up. Like, oh, I thought that was advanced. I didn't realize it was super advanced. Again, you just don't know any better.
Yeah, I see the basic and the advanced power play is the same on Strat. Is you roll the dice, you look at the chart,
the D20, and then look at the chart.
And those are the scoring chances that you get, or the shorthanded chances you get. So, chances of scoring a shorthanded goal are probably pretty damn slim in that way.
Even in super advanced, it's not very high. But
you'd be surprised how many shorthanded goals I get on the PC game, because I'll skate and I'll roll a 1 more often than not, and I'll get a lot of shorthanded chances in Strat PC. It's just kind of how that works out. But I tried to do the super advanced power play, and I forgot to read off the power play on when I flipped the card. Because I'm still learning that, and I'm quite happy with the advanced version of that. That's just me. But I sprinkle in some super advanced here and there. So when you're playing these games, no matter what game it is you obviously you got the basic version here. But I know some people that play Strat Hockey that are like, I'm playing the basic. I really don't want to go to advanced. What rules could I incorporate into the basic set from the advanced?
In college, when we did the baseball, we included the clutch, which is only in super advanced. But we left out the weather. We had ballpark effects. We had to create, but again, as you said, mix and match.
Yep, and some PC games let you do that, whereas you can, you have all these options. You can say, do I want this? Do I want that? Do I want this? The fatigue factor or the this factor or the whatever factor, So some of those you can really tweak to your heart's content. But we're kind of really focusing on the cards and dice. This is the stuff that you're kind of playing by yourself on the table and the whole bit. And, probably the biggest thing for me is when I roll something and I'm just not sure of it. And if I got to start digging into rules and going online and asking questions, I'm almost better off just re-rolling or just making up a house rule right at that point, saying, look, if I want the game to continue, I need to do something here. So here's how I interpret that. And then I go on and I play and I'm on my merry way and I'm having my fun, and there's always the part of guilt that says, okay, maybe I'm not playing this correctly, and there's a little bit of guilt there that I should have gone back and looked at the rules because they designed this game. They get thousands of hours into research into this game, and who am I to go and change it on them? But for some reason, this is not clicking with me, or this is not working, or I'm not enjoying this.
And especially if you've tried the rule and don't like it. It's one thing if you go off and do a tournament or have someone over and you got to agree to the rules. I mean, you should know the rules of the game. But when it's just you, yourself, and you, what does it matter?
Yeah.
Again, there's no wrong as long as, I don't condone cheating to make the team that you want to win. You got to be equal to both sides. But again, it's your game. And Strat especially, and I guess maybe APA too, because they release new rules every few years. There's a rule that they might have changed that may be clunky, where someone has complained about online and they refine. And rules get changed. There's no, whatever the sport is, there's no hard and set fast rules.
I really enjoy going on to, let's say, like the Delphi forums, or even Facebook groups, and when you read people, it's like, here's my homebrew rule for X. And I'll print out these, like in my especially my Strat Hockey there, I have a ton of like pages I printed out from different places. And
the penetration chart, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, the penetration.
There's one thing that you roll to see what you're going to do. And for me, I always go with what I think the best chances are.
Yeah,
some people just want to roll to see what they would do. Yeah, right there.
I got it right here. So this is the chart. So depending on how many stars your player has, you roll a 6-sided dice, and that tells you if he's going to shoot, penetrate, or pass. So if I really want to get completely automatic and not make any decisions and just let the dice handle the game, I have that chart. Otherwise, I can say, I'm going to take the shot, or I'm going to make the pass. You know what I mean? So I can, do what I want to do with that. But sometimes it's making it fun for you is what it is. And there's sometimes I use that chart and sometimes I don't. But again, I in the Strat Hockey box, I got a ton of papers I printed out. So like I got 3 or 4 of them for like what to do with the goalie out. You pull the goalie, and everyone's got their own idea on what should happen, what should be, a scoring chance, what shouldn't be. How does this affect the team with the goalie out? How does this affect the team, that has the 5 skaters and their goalie? What constitutes an open net goal? What constitutes a goal for the other side? And people go back and forth about, does the plus sign next to the goalie? It's not technically a power play, but it kind of is because it's a man strength. So how do you work that? And that's split of, that's a goal, it's not a goal. So and I love people's ideas. And I print them out, and sometimes people have some really good ones that I've incorporated, and other times, they get really complex, and you're just like, oh, dude, you overthought it.
Yeah, and again, what may be complex to us might make perfect sense to the person that came up with a house rule. Mm-hmm. Again, it's your game, play it your way. Most of us aren't doing competitions, in tournaments. I tend to, if I'm in a blowout game in baseball, it's like, I just tried to speed the game along. Okay, that's enough. You've made your point. Even if it's the team that I'm playing that's winning, like, okay,
yeah,
is it close? Like, nope, I'm not.
I think I did that in Payoff Pitch. One of the first games of Payoff Pitch I played, I want to say it was Nolan Ryan and someone else, and it was two pitchers that are really good, and they went 12 innings, and I kept them in because it's like neither one were fatigued. It was a 2-1 game.
Yeah, and
so it's like
a year they wouldn't be.
I'm gonna let them. It was in the 70s. I was like, I'm gonna let them play. I'm gonna let them keep throwing. You know what I mean? And but I left them both in until one got rocked a little bit. But like I say, I think I got into the 12th inning and something really weird happened, and I forget what it was because there's not a lot in Payoff Pitch that's weird, but something kind of happened. I was like, something, it's 12th inning. I've been playing this game a long time. I'm going to allow this just to get the game over with. Yep. So I said, okay, that's going to be a hit, and this guy scores from second, and game over. And again, it doesn't matter. But
7-run lead. Am I really going to check to see if the arm of the outfielder's weak or if the runner's fast? No, they're holding.
Yeah.
I just want it. The game is pretty much is over at that point. I just want to get it done. It doesn't mean that I'm not enjoying it, but for instance, for me, I hate rare plays. It takes forever to look up. They don't usually make a heck of a lot of sense for the situation. And so in one particular game, I think it's a 0-0 is a rare play. And for me, that's an error. Because I think, okay, well, let's make an error. Roll a third.
Yeah, there's such a mixed bag because sometimes...
But no two people play the same way.
Yeah, sometimes I know why rare plays are in there because that allows everything that's in the game to appear at some point.
Right.
But the problem with that is because it's a mixed bag is something could come up at such a time that you'd be like, this would never happen. Or if you're in a good flow. Yeah, and then something
you got to stop and then roll these 3 dice and counter. It's like,
yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, that's the whole Planko thing.
Look, he fouled out. He popped up to first, and it goes in the stands for a foul ball. And at that point, you're just kind of going, I really just wasted where I could have done 2 batters with that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not necessarily playing, you're big on flow. And when I'm playing a cards and dice game, especially a baseball game, I want it to move along. I'll slow down runners on and do that. But for out, I want the game to move along.
Yeah,
Which I know is different if you watch my baseball streams and we chat a lot. But again, that's different from doing a stream than to sit there when you got 20 minutes to play something by yourself.
Yeah. No, like I said, I enjoy the rare plays, but again, you're right. Sometimes it's just like, oh boy, somebody runs
starting
out.
Starting off with the broken chin strap.
Yeah, I was just like, ugh, right off the bat. Right, opening face-off of the game is just, oh my gosh. That's why I don't stream the Hockey Blast anymore, is because I kind of have to go into a closet and close the door and play that myself, because I make so many changes and I ignore so many things in that game that people would be ripping me apart, like, that's not how you play the game. So I have to kind of play that on my own in secret, but I enjoy it because I play it the way I want, and there's enough in Hockey Blast for me to enjoy if I just chop off some of the edges. I chop off some of the crazy stuff that happened in this game. I don't really do the fights. You know what I mean? I just play how I want to play. I take 80% of the rules and I play that game and I enjoy it.
Right.
It's the other 20% that brings in all the extracurricular stuff that just gums up the game. And I suppose it's got to be in there. Because if it wasn't in there, then it would be like...
Some people enjoy the fights.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is if they weren't in there, some people would not be happy about that. But I like the fact that I just treat it as, I think there's at a certain point in the game, you can just treat it as momentum rather than a fight. So that's what I do. And I have a lot of fun with it when I play it my way.
And it's not a knock on the design of the game, at least in my point of view, when I don't necessarily play by chapter and verse. It's, I see where you're going with this. Some of it's for flow. Some of it for me is, I'll make my own rule changes in the middle of the game. I just got to remember that I need to be consistent for both teams. It's not doing it to there. It's like, oh, okay, now this has come up 2 or 3 times. How do I treat it? And again, as long as I'm consistent with it, then I'm fine with it. Again, I've done enough things that I want the team I'm playing to win, but it's not at one of those things that's at all cost type deal. It's like, okay, this worked for this one, so I'll go forward the next time. For instance, in roster card before when I played, I didn't use any fast action cards. Now, when I'm playing roster card, if it's an out situation that if you roll a 0 or a 1, or a 2, I go and for the second D10, I go and, as long as it's not a strikeout, go through and just flip for the out fast action card. And again, as long as you can make it consistent for both teams how you treat it, it's whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
And using the fast action cards for that is consistent with the game. Base running, it's consistent with the game and how it's designed. So let's say that I do 85 to 90% of the game as written and improvise, maybe not improvise, but make up my own 10 to 15%. It's still the game. I'm still enjoying the game. I'm still using the cards the way that, the pages the way that they're supposed to be designed. But I've made it my game the way that I would play it and like it and want to continue to play it.
I like adding things that make the game more exciting is what I could do. And I did that a lot with the Shootout hockey game, whereas my biggest mod for me was on the rebound roll. So you take a shot and it says rebound. Okay, so it means it's a shot and a save and there's a rebound. And what you need to do is you need to roll a 6-sided dice against the goalie's rebound rating. And you have to beat that number. Well, if a goalie's rebound rating is 6... that goalie is going to make the save no matter what you do. And so I says, something? Let me do this. if by chance, I get a rebound rating and I roll and I hit the exact number, whether it's a 4 or 5 or 6, whatever it is, I roll the 6-sided dice and I hit that number exact. What I do is I go to a show. I call it a showdown roll is what I do. And so then I take 2 dice, and one of them's for the goalie and one of them's for the shooter. And if the shooter beats the goalie, it's a goal. Okay, if the goalie beats the shooter, it's a save. If it's a tie, it does go to the goalie because I want to get that resolved on that one extra roll. But that's what I do on the rebounds because it's like, goalie's got a 6, you can't beat him. It's like, what's the sense? What's the sense of having a rebound? And at the same time, if a goalie's got a 4, let's say, and I roll and I hit the 4, I get another roll of the dice to determine the goal or a save. That's just the exciting part that I've added into that. And so I added the showdown roll. If I hit, if I'm tied on a rebound roll, I have one extra roll.
Especially in hockey, that is essential because it is, again, you want that added excitement. You want that extra flow. Line changes, I think, are a good one for everyone that has a different house rule. Strat kind of makes you want to do 2 action cards for forwards and 4 for defensemen. Because I play only on the PC, it's a 35-card period. So I do 5 for forwards and 7 for defensemen because they're both divisible by their respective numbers. So I can have 6 defensive pairings in a period, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, I think is how I do it. And for forwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so I double. So, and for me, that just makes it equitable. Again, as we were talking about before, as long as it's equal.
I have a really good formula I developed for Strat because I only use the 3 lines because I usually only play 70s and 80s. So I have 3 lines and 2D, 3 forwards and 2D. Okay,
right.
What my system is kind of neat. Is I think I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
And
again,
so I start the game with my top guys, and they play 4 cards, let's say. And then the second line comes out and they might play 5 cards. And then the third line will play 3 cards, And then I go the first line for a couple, back to then I go, like I say, third line, second line, first line. So the game starts and ends with the first line. Because for me, that's more realistic. Because, I know you're supposed to change cards, but you don't want the third line out there when you're down by a goal in the last minute of the game.
No, you want best against the best.
So what I have set up is that at the end of the period, the first line might play, 15 cards, let's say. The second line might play 13, and then the third line might play 10 or whatever. I forget. The numbers are wrong there, but you know what I mean. It's like first line plays more, second line plays a little less, third line plays. But I have it mixed up during the game, whereas it starts and ends with the first line. So I'm not going to get a third line goal in the final minute. It's just that's not. The cool thing is, on the PC version of Strat is it tells you how many cards a player has played and how much ice time that is. So it's a good reminder. It's like, I've played this one too much. Because I don't play with fatigue on. My cardinal rule is that cards and dice don't get tired. Mm-hmm. If you're doing that, because it goes back to when I started playing these games, fatigue, what the heck is that? What do you mean I can't play I want Lemieux and hold it together the entire game. Yeah.
No. Not happening, Ron. But so if I look at the third period, or the other thing I might do is if I know that the second time I'm bringing through a number 1 line, or where I might bring a third checking line when I'm down by 2 goals, I might bring the first line out early and then do 3 shifts with them over the course of the last period just to give yourself the extra scoring chance. Because in real life, 1s face 3s all the time. You want your checkers out generally in the middle of a period against the other team's top offensive line to mitigate scoring chances. And so try to make that realistic. Again, for me, it's a case of whatever it is that I change around or mod, I do in my head what's best to make it equitable. Mm-hmm. Whatever it works, because again, these are all works in progress. Yep. Yeah. So anyway, we'd like to know, what do you guys do when you're playing your game, whether it's your favorite game or whatever game it is? Do you go strictly by the book, or do you make some changes to make it fun for you? Or sometimes it's just to make it easier.
sometimes it's like, man, this is such a headache doing it this way. I'm just going to do this. It's so much easier, and the game flows. And you can, I'd rather be playing the game than be digging through rule books, to try to figure out, can I get this exactly right, Yeah, I don't know. So what are some of the things that you guys do? I mean, do you guys have house rules? I mean, what do you do if you get, maybe there's a game you're playing that you're somewhat new, or maybe something happens, you get stuck. I mean, how do you handle some of these things? Do you make the game yours? Do you add that Eye of Newt, wing a bat? Do you make this fun for you? Or do you just gut it out and say, I don't care if it's not fun, I'm playing by the rules? And again, there's no right or wrong way with this, because It's your game, and it's your game to use as many of the rules as you want. And when you're doing that stuff there. So anyway, that's some of the things we'd like to know. What do you guys do when you're playing your games? So let's wrap this up, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
By the numbers, this was episode 77 of the Digital to Dice podcast.
Raymond Bork.
The Raymond Bork episode. And we've been talking a little bit about, I guess, modding the game or changing the game to make it fit, make it fun for you. Make it fun, make it easy, make it a game that you really, really enjoy playing. Ways to get a hold of us. DigitalToDice.com is the website. 978-751-DICE. 978-751-3423 is the text line. DigitalToDice@yahoo.com is how you can email us. And over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/digitaltodice. And also facebook.com/groups/shootout-hockey-game is a new group we fired up if you're a fan of the shootout hockey game like I am. So, I'm Dave.
I'm Ron.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Claude.